Welcome back to our tutorial for Inventor, part 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on our Sumo wheel again. And what we're going to do is work on trying to add some extra features to it to make it, like we'd said, the prettiest wheel that ever was. Now, the first thing we have to do is, and I didn't do this in the previous tutorial, so that was a bad on me, but something you want to keep up and keep doing as you make things is naming your extrusions. So an extrusion just means making a shape 3D. This extrusion allowed us to set the wheel shape. So I'm going to call this, or the body of the wheel body. And that's the cylinder that the wheel is made out of. This extrusion right here, as you can see it highlights it, was the pattern. Let's say the mag pattern. Okay? And this extrusion right here was our hexagonal hole. Oh, whoops, try that again. So by naming these things, it allows me to know, like let's say I want to edit my hexagonal hole, I know which extrusion. I don't have to go putting my mouse over looking at which one was highlighted, right? I just know, oh, that's a mag pattern, that's the wheel body, and that's hexagonal hole. Now, I also am going to continue working on a sketch. So sometimes what happens is you're working on Inventor and you have to leave and save and come back later. And you were already working on a sketch but didn't complete it. What this allows you to do is, when you come back into Inventor, it doesn't go back into the sketch right from where you were working on it. It actually needs you to go back into the sketch. It saves it as it is. It's like doing a drawing and keeping off in your sketchbook. You've got to continue the drawing. So a lot of people will create a new sketch and start drawing because oftentimes you can see the lines from the previous sketch. But that's a bad idea because now what you have, it's almost like doing a sketch on a piece of paper and then starting another part of the rest of that sketch on another piece of paper. Unless you put them together, they don't work. And unfortunately, Inventor, when it extrudes, only extrudes single sketches. It can't extrude lines that are connected where one part is on one sketch and one part is on the other. And hopefully that'll make sense as we go on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on this to continue working on it. So what we'll do now is start by adding, well, instead of adding the rim, I said, adding a rim to the mag wheel was one possibility. I'm going to add a little bit of a different amount of geometry on this. So what I'm going to do is make a circle that snaps to the center. And you notice my snap right here is selected. Go to the center. I'm going to make a 42 millimeter. Now I can make this, I can automatically size it like we did in the previous tutorial by typing in 42 while not clicking on anything. So clicking to move my mouse to make the size and then typing in 42, enter. If you forget this step, you can just click on dimension and then redimension it. And then I'm going to go finish sketch. My circle represents a closed shape, so I should be able to extrude it. So if I click extrude, you'll notice Inventor automatically does that. Now, I obviously remember there's a limitation on how thick your wheel can be. It's 45 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into my wheel a little bit, and then I'm going to, and so it looks pretty cool. It's got a pretty sweet look, but perhaps I want something a little bit different. Like maybe I want it to, taper a little. So what I'm going to do is instead of just having it cut right in like that, I'm going to, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll do that in the next step. I think I'll kind of like this. Let's say that's 3 millimeters cut in. So out of my 45 millimeters, now my wheel's outside is 15 millimeters thick, and the inside's about 12. So I go finish. And so now I got myself a nice edge to my wheel. There's a bunch of things you can do from here on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another cool effect. Now let's say I had a bit of extruder's remorse in the sense that I'm extruded by 3 millimeters. I'm like, ugh, actually I wanted that to be a little bit less. Well, I can always go back, so let me just do this. I'll call this the mag rim. And then I'll make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to rename the sketch mag rim. Okay. Call mag rim sketch if it doesn't let me do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this, and it'll allow me to change it. So I'll make it maybe 2 millimeters. That seems a little bit better. And now let's say I want something a little bit different. So I got this cool rim going on. And sometimes the problem with Inventor is, and you'll probably notice if I click on front, you can't really see the shape you just made. So what I like to do is I like to click on View once I've started putting more features, click on Visual Style and go Shaded with Edges. So that's Shaded with Edges. And what this will allow you to do is allow you to see all the edges that you have on your thing. So you can see, oh, like, check that out. I can see all the geometry I had there. Okay, so back to my modification. So now we've got a rim on there. Let's say I want to add a bit of a curve on the inside. So I'm going to go to Create Sketch. I'm going to click on this shape right here. And then I'm going to use a fancy tool called Project Geometry. So I want to make a circle, but I don't want to, I'm a bit lazy. I don't want to draw the circle again because it's already here. I'm going to click on Project Geometry, and what it's going to do is it's going to take that line and it's going to draw it down here. It's going to take that edge and it's going to project it onto the plane on which I'm drawing. So wherever my page is, it's like drawing. It's almost like shining a light on an object and getting its silhouette. And all of a sudden now that silhouette's a drawing on your page. So now that I've done that, I'm going to finish sketch, not finish, sketch. And I'm going to click on extrude. And once again, it's going to extrude that shape. I'm going to choose the other direction. So remember how it's choosing upwards. I want to cut a little, but I don't want to cut down that deep. Maybe I'll go 1 millimeter in. And instead of cutting it, I want it to gradually cut in, so almost have like a curved look. So I'm going to go to More, and there's something called a taper. Now, taper is a bit of a cool feature. It means that you can cause some things to, fold in or move out. And it's a bit hard to understand, but by typing something like -10, you'll see that I've got a little bit of a fold in like that. In fact, I'm going to keep typing -50. Check that out. You see how it's curved in there? It's got a taper. It curves into it. And in fact, I want to taper all the way to the edge. So I'm going to go -80. See that circle? That's how far it goes. Let's go -90. It doesn't allow me, so -85. And you'll notice that it's, and let's try it. Let's see how far we can go.
89. And there we go. You can see that now. Maybe actually 89 wasn't so great. 88 was pretty cool. 87. 6. And you see there? There we go. See the circle right now. What it's doing is it's making an angled surface from the edge down to that circle over there. I can make it, let's see if I can move it over. I just so fast. You kind of have to play around with it. You can play around with that circle. I'm going to try to get it right on the edge of there. There, that's it, right there. So 86.1 gets me close to the edge. It's a little bit, not quite, not 1, I'll try 0.5. Oh, oops. Taper. 75.9. Try to get this back to where I wanted it. There we go, 1's okay. 1.5. 6. As you can see, there's a little bit of play.
I think that's good. I think we've determined that's pretty cool. And so what you'll see is I've got a bit of a taper going on here. And if I wanted to maybe make that a little bit deeper, I can change that to 2 millimeters. You'll see my taper will go down a bit further. It's a nice curve on that. And our taper is even bigger now. So you can get a cool curve going deeper in, into there. And I go OK, and check it out. It actually curves in a little. Anyway, so then there we go. So we've got 2 tricks that we can use. We can do taper and we can make an edge. Now, the next thing, so I'll call this my taper. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called fillet and chamfer. So chamfer is quite cool. What it does is when you click on the edge of things, and you'll notice that the little exclamation mark came up. I'm going to make 1 millimeter. It makes them a little bit of an angle. See right there? Gives it a cool flattened edge look. It's almost like you took a knife and you cut it right across. So that's what chamfer does. It makes a nice flat surface. If you want something a bit more subtle, a bit rounded, you can use fillet. And so fillet rounds the edges. So see right there? By how much you want it to. So I can make it 1, a little bit more, less of a round. I can bit more. You can even go crazy and make it really round, but I would highly suggest you don't do this. I would go against that because you'll end up with this edge right here, and since we're going to be 3D printing it, it might work. It depends on the thickness, but yeah, maybe, you know what? I'd be interested in trying that, so if you want to make it look like that, go for it. It just might not print like you want it, so maybe even a little bit less might be a bit better. We can try to get as close as we can to the thing. So let's try. I liked 2 a bit better. 2 looked cooler. Had a nice look to it. There we go. And I go check mark. And there you go. And so now a couple things we can do is we can use a mixture chamfers and fillets. We can click there to chamfer it a little, 0.5. Now, if you get a chamfer or a little exclamation mark, you're going to have to drop that number. You can try increasing it, but it might be too much. Right, and so sometimes what happens is, it's unfortunate, but it just won't let you, chamfer certain edges. Occasionally the problem is that if you chamfer it, it'll ruin the geometry that's already there. So sometimes you kind of just have to accept that some things just weren't made to be chamfered. Right. So you'll notice that it's just not working. So I did a bit of a test and it doesn't seem to work too well. So I've got a few features. And you can play around with it. You might be able to chamfer the edges of your thing, but for me it doesn't really work well for my geometry. And yeah, that's really about it. If you have any other questions, you can always talk to me in class and see how we can realize some of your other ideas. Thank you for watching.